Fight night Adesanya versus Imavov is coming up this weekend, man, and today I'm about to give my predictions and break down the whole entire card. 2025 has not been too good for me. Honest, it is what it is. Looking to turn it around here. We got some nice fights on the card. I think I'm going to do well here. I really do. Look, man, if y'all could hit that subscribe button, trying to get to 1,000 by the end of February, it'd mean a lot. And let's get right into it. Let's get it on, man. A couple fights been canceled, unfortunately, but it is what it is. First fight up. Hamdy Abdelwahab taking on Jamal Pogues. Okay, this is a close fight, I would say. When you look at Jamal Pogues, he's actually got a good skill set, right? He's got sharp hands. He's got sharp, boxing. He can kick. He's a black belt on the mat. But he doesn't really, do that much, right? And every single fight of his so far is a decision. He has 0 knockdowns in the UFC, 0 finishes, right? He's a heavyweight. He has to be getting finishes. He doesn't get them, right? He's very, low volume, and I don't like it. He likes to clinch a lot, and he just kind of does nothing, really. And, I looked at his Instagram. He always seems motivated every single time I look at his Instagram, but nothing changes from Jamal Pogues, right? I don't know when I'm going to see Jamal Pogues go out there and try to look for a finish, right? Go out there and just, bite down, swing hard in the pocket. I don't know, because he's got the skills. He's got good kicks. He's a black belt on the mat, but he just doesn't put everything together. And Hamdy Abdelwahab is a cheater. He popped for roids against Dontel Mays, and he hasn't fought since then. But Hamdy Abdelwahab is a very good athlete, right? He wrestled in the Olympics, so automatically he's going to be a good athlete, a good competitor. But for the most part, he does like to strike, and his striking is not bad whatsoever. There are some things I worry about with Hamdy Abdelwahab. One, you can see that big old belly right there. He does get tired. But his boxing's actually pretty good, right? I think he puts together good combinations. He's got some heavy hands in his shots. It's a tough fight. I see why the odds are close. I am leaning toward Hamdy, and I'll tell you why right now. Jamal Pogues is a guy who clinches a lot. He really does, go to that clinch often. And Hamdy Abdelwahab, from what I've seen from him and what I saw in that Dontel Mays fight, is a beast right there, man. He loves to use those trips and throws right in that clinch, and it's very hard to stop because he's very slick at it. He's really, really good at it. Obviously, the guy is a very good wrestler in general. But that's something I really noticed about him. He's a very, very good sneaky tripping game inside the clinch, and that's where I think this fight can, change. Because Pogues, to me, I do feel like he is the more balanced guy, but he just doesn't have that finishing instinct, right? And I know Hamdy's actually a guy who wants to look for the finish, right? He wants to get his big ass out of there. Overall, man, Hamdy he has that danger factor. He does have the wrestling, and I've seen Jamal Pogues on his back. It's not a good sight, right? He is a black belt, but he's not going to, throw up a Kimura to reverse the position, right? He doesn't do that, obviously. And maybe he could get a submission off his back, but I'm not going to trust that here, man. I do think that Hamdy is heavy pressure on top, and he is a solid, boxer that can knock Jamal Pogues out, honestly. If the fight hits the later stages, do I see Jamal Pogues, maybe winning the third round? Sure. I don't think he gets a 10-8, and I don't think he finishes the fight, right? From what I've seen from the Jamal Pogues, man, he has no finishing ability whatsoever, and I just have to go with Hamdy here. I think he'll get this one done via decision. Like I said, I think he grinds out, wins the first 2, and then, Jamal Pogues is a good third round, gets the third round. I'm going to go 29-28 decision for Hamdy. Next fight up, Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. Now, if you're in my Discord, I dropped a very, very nice bet on Lucas Alexander a long time ago. He's minus 120 right now. I dropped a bet on him when he was plus 170. So make sure you hop in my Discord. I'm going to put the link in the description. It's all free, no money, no paying, none of that bullshit. But Lucas Alexander, man, I was surprised because I didn't know much about him because, honestly, the last fight I saw him in Jekka, Sergei knocked him out. But, man, I had to watch his other fights before. The dude is slick on the feet. He's got a lot of kickboxing experience, and you can really see it in his game, man. He's slick. He's precise. He's sharp. He's a very, very good striker. Very, very good. And I do enjoy watching him. He mixes up the levels well. He's got nasty calf kicks. He's got really, really good straight shots. Very nice kicks. He's a beast on the feet, honestly. Very, very fun to watch. And first fight was against Joe Anderson Brito, where Brito jumped on his back and choked him out in the first round, very early on in the first round. It was short notice. And Lucas Alexander might have some grappling deficiencies. But if you go back to that fight versus Sergei, just a fluke. It honestly was a fluke, right? They got in a little bit of a grappling situation, and Lucas Alexander turned his back for 1 second, and Jeka just followed him and knocked him out cold. It was a very weird knockout, and I wouldn't say that it took any skill, and it was kind of just a stupid mistake by Alexander that I wouldn't see happening again, right? I do think there are some cardio deficiencies with Alexander. He does tend to slow down, especially when you do mix in that wrestling. But overall, man, I like the camp he's training at. He's training with Rodolfo Vieira, Mike Davis, Terrance McKinney, those guys in Orlando, and I do like that camp. I've seen a lot of great grapplers develop there, and you can see Mike Davis, how much he's developed in the grappling sense. I would imagine that Lucas Alexander is getting better and better with the grappling. And, he's taking on Bogdan Grad. Bit of a weird fighter. Comes on the Contender Series, gets knocked out unconscious by Tom Nolan, and it was a horrible performance. I mean, no big moments. And Tom Nolan's a big dude who is dangerous, but Bogdan Grad didn't even land a shot, I feel like. I mean, he just got dropped, and then he got up and got knocked out cold. So, Bogdan Grad's coming off a win off the Contender Series, which I thought he lost to Michael Aswell. And Michael Aswell is a pretty good striker. He's got a good jab, a good 1-2, but Alexander is much better striker. He's a much better striker. Now, some good things about Bogdan Grad that he does pretty well. He pushes a really high pace, and that could cause some issues for Alexander. He does mix in the wrestling, but for the most part, he's a guy who wants to be on the feet. I don't like his defense, man. He gets hit way too much. Now, you see his little head. He eats some shots. I've seen him on the regional scene, and he, is just a brawler, right? He just comes in there and he wants to finish fights. He throws hard as hell, and he's dangerous. I'll definitely say that he is dangerous. Now he's taking on Alexander, who's the precise guy, the sharper guy, the nasty counters guy. I'm going to take that guy every day, right? I'm going with Lucas Alexander to win. I just don't think Bogdan Grad, if he mixes in the wrestling, he's going to have success, but I don't see him wrestle enough for me to just pick him, right? I think he stands on the feet too much, and while it's on the feet, it's going to be all Alexander. I just think he's way better on the feet, and I am going to pick him to win this fight. Like I said, I got him at plus 170, so make sure you'll hop in my Discord, man. Next up, Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Now, Jasudavicius, to me, I think she's a shit fighter. I'm not gonna lie. I don't believe that Jasudavicius is a good fighter. I just don't look at her as she's a prospect, right? She kind of relies on her strength and being able to bully you. She did that to Fatima Klein, who is a 115er. She beat Ariana Delipsky, who was piecing her up, right? I don't think that I like Jasmine Jasudavicius a lot. I don't like her at all, actually. She's a good wrestler. She's got good cardio. She's, got front choke submissions like the, Darce Anaconda. But man, I just think she relies on her just strength so often. I don't think that her takedown entries are anything special. She's got a good little single leg, and she's strong. But damn, bro, she's taking on Mayra Bueno Silva, who's coming off a loss where she really shouldn't have lost, right? She got taken down by some girl, and I don't know her name, and got cut open, and the fight was over, right? She is improved on the feet. She's dangerous on the feet, and I like her danger factor in general. I don't feel like Jasudavicius is that dangerous, right? She's got, solid ground and pound, solid, chokes, but on the feet, Bueno Silva's dangerous. She's dangerous from the clinch. She's got good knees. She's got good elbows. She throws hard, and that could be a bad thing here because she could get taken down and overextend. But I am going to go with Bueno Silva. I know she's moving down, but she's a big lady. You can see her. She's a big lady with some big... Oh, never mind. But she's big, right? She's strong, and I do think that Jasudavicius is going to be stronger, the better wrestler. But I even like the danger factor of Bueno Silva on the back, right? When she's on her back, she has, knee bars, she has triangles, she has guillotines, she has submissions, right? I know she's done a lot of training with the Fighting Nerds, so look out for that a little bit, you know what I mean? But overall, man, I just think the danger, the aggressiveness is with Mayra Bueno Silva, and I just don't think Jasudavicius is a good fighter. I think she's okay on the ground, good wrestler, but she's very weird, very strange person as well. I'm going with Bueno Silva to win this one. I think she gets this one done inside the distance, sub or KO. I didn't even know they did women's fights on Saudi Arabia. I thought those weren't allowed, but I guess not. Next up, Terrance McKinney versus Damir Hadzovic. It's kind of a layup from McKinney, right? Damir, his last win I watched him, not very good, right? He just wants to brawl. He's got, good little slip and rip combinations, and he can put on a lot of volume. And he's not a bad striker. And if this fight was only striking, I think I'd give him a good chance. He's not a bad striker. He doesn't hit that hard, though, right? And he's going to be at a massive athleticism disadvantage here. His takedown defense is atrocious, right? I think it's the worst. It's got to be the worst in lightweight. I mean, it's like 39%. It's so bad. Mark Jacasey was able to take him down and hold him down forever. There's been multiple guys that just had their way with this dude on the mat. And McKinney is a guy who can wrestle. He definitely can wrestle. He does like to keep it on the feet, and he does, have really, really stupid, bad IQ. But it's hard for me to see him losing. Damir, if he can put McKinney on the back foot and land some good combinations, maybe he can win. And Damir is pretty tough. He's pretty durable. But the athleticism is definitely going to be with McKinney. McKinney's younger. He's faster. He's stronger. He is pretty much, better everywhere in this fight. Obviously, the dude has zero IQ, right? He just goes out there way too aggressive and just fights like an idiot. And he pays for it a lot of the time, but I don't think Damir has anything for him here. When you look at McKinney, solid striker, good 1-2, fast. He's very, very fast. He's very, very fast. And that's going to give Damir problems, but ultimately, I think it's just the grappling of McKinney. I think if McKinney shoots a takedown, gets Damir on the ground, finishes him with ground and pound, but I do think that he's going to get a submission here. I like him to get an RNC, and I don't know Damir's only been submitted one time, but I just think McKinney's so aggressive with everything he does in his, striking, grappling. He's just so very aggressive that he wants to get you out of there very fast, and I think he will. I think he will get Damir out of there with the first round submission. I just, don't really see Damir doing much here. He's got horrible takedown defense, and, if McKinney decides to stand with him on the feet, he's just an idiot, because why would you not take someone down like this? And McKinney's got good wrestling, and I would expect him to take him down and finish this fight in the first round via submission, so I'm going with McKinney. Oh, man. Shamil Gaziev versus Thomas Petersen. Now, I know a lot of people have been thinking Thomas Petersen's going to, he's got a good chance, and I see it. You saw a little bit of development with the striking, and he's not bad on the feet. He's got a good, he's got a good little straight left hand, a good little jab, but he doesn't do much on the feet, right? He's not great. He's got to get this fight to the mat. And a problem with Thomas Petersen, honestly, he is a good wrestler. He's got a good single leg, and he does do a good job taking people down. My problem with Thomas Petersen is he doesn't take people down. He doesn't attempt to take people down. And when I watch Thomas Petersen on the regional scene, he's confident going in for takedowns and confident, getting people to the mat, smashing them with the ground and pound. He does a very good job if he can get you there. In this fight, it's hard because, first off, Shamil, is big. He's very, very big. Now, if Thomas Petersen can put Shamil on his back, he can go to work. And Shamil ain't getting up probably. But, man, I don't see Thomas Petersen shoot enough takedowns, right? Versus Muhammad Usman, didn't shoot that often, and Usman was able to stuff a lot of them. Versus Jamal Pogues, barely shot takedowns, right? I don't understand why he doesn't shoot more, and I don't know if I'm going to expect him to shoot takedowns here against Shamil Gaziev, and he should, because if you could put a guy like Shamil on his back, he ain't getting up, right? He's too fat, he's too big, and Petersen's a big boy, heavy on top. He has solid ground and pound, and I do understand a case being made for Thomas Petersen, but in my case of watching Thomas Petersen, I don't think he does enough for the taking down for me to go, oh yeah, Thomas Petersen's going to shoot takedowns consistently, put Shamil Gaziev on his back, which he has the ability to do. I don't see it. And when it comes to striking, Shamil's better. He's got fast, straight shots. He is a solid striker, and I know he got pieced up by Rozenstruik, but Thomas Petersen's not Rozenstruik by any means, right? Thomas Petersen's a little bit one-dimensional. I will say I'm not a fan of the odds. I know Petersen's coming in a big underdog. I don't think that's fair, but I do think that, Gaziev didn't look great in his last performance, honestly, but I had to go back and watch Martin Budai fight. He looked solid, right? He is good boxing. He has fast hands for a big guy, like I said, pretty good power in those shots. I just don't think Petersen shoots enough takedowns and is going to be able to put Shamil Gaziev on his back. So ultimately, man, that's going to, make me pick Shamil Gaziev to win this fight. I do think that he might get a finish here, but I am going to go with the decision. I think Shamil gets a decision here over Thomas Petersen, a nice 30-27. So, yeah, next up. Man, I love this fight. Man, I love this fight. Faraz Ziam taking on Mike Davis, two of the brightest guys. I don't even want to call Mike Davis a prospect anymore because he's so old now. He's 32. Not so old, but he's probably hitting his prime right now, and he's not ranked. And it's tough to see because he's a very, very good fighter, right? When you look at Mike Davis, he's 11-2. One of those losses coming to Gilbert Burns, the other one to Sadiq Youssef, right? I can't even believe this dude is a former featherweight. I mean, he's huge. He is huge for this weight class, right? He's got nasty boxing. Simple as that. He is really, really good boxing. Great slip and rips, big power on his shots. He's a very, very good boxer, and I really enjoy watching him. His fight versus Mason Jones, man, one of the best. I love that fight. So fun, so entertaining. And that's what Mike Davis is, man. He's a great boxer. As of recently, though, man, I haven't seen him strike as much as I'd like to, right? Versus Natan Levy, he did do a good bit of striking, but it's not the same Mike Davis that I was seeing before, right? I think that, when I was seeing Mike Davis go out there versus Mason Jones and versus these other dudes, he was showing off. He was confident in his striking. Versus Vyacheslav Borshev, versus Natan Levy, I haven't seen that kind of version of Mike Davis. He's been the really grappling heavy version, but he's a great grappler. He's a great wrestler. He's strong as hell. He's good at taking your back. He's got fast entries, and overall, man, the dude is a beast of an athlete. He really is. He's a really, really good athlete. He's strong. I mean, you look at his physique. He's athletic. He's fast. He's powerful. I mean, he's got all the tools to be a great fighter. Now, the issues that I have with Mike Davis is, one, I just talked about it. I don't see that same striking confidence that he had prior to all these injuries and layoffs. I haven't seen that. I don't like that. I don't like not seeing that. He's a guy who has good kicks and great boxing. As well as the cardio for Mike Davis. Versus Vyacheslav Borshev, looked a bit gassed, looked a bit labored, and I have seen that in pretty much every Mike Davis fight where he does tend to slow down a lot, okay? And that's a problem for me, a very big problem for me. And I think that he's got all the skills. He can wrestle, he can box, and I like him a lot. He's taken on Faraz Ziam, who just came off easily the best performance of his career. I mean, he looked on fire versus Matt Frevola. But I don't even think Matt Frevola is near Mike Davis when it comes to MMA, right? I think so highly of Mike Davis. I just think his skill set is so very good. And Faraz Ziam, I thought looked great against Frevola, right? The straight shots were on point. He was, stuffing takedowns, and he got taken down a little bit, but he got right back up. He even took Frevola down. He was on point, man. He looked great. When you got Ziam, he's got good leg kicks. He's a former K1 kickboxer, so he's a very capable striker on the feet. Now, Faraz Ziam is from France. I do believe he's a little bit of a quitter. He quit versus Terrance McKinney, and that's something I can't get behind. I cannot get behind anybody who quits. The choke versus McKinney was not even in, and he just tapped, right? I don't really like that. I hate seeing that, especially from a betting standpoint. But damn, I have to give him respect because he looked really, really good in his last fight. Mixes up the volume, goes to the legs, goes to the head with the strikes. I don't like the finishing ability from Faraz Ziam. I don't think he hits that hard. Obviously, he just got a crazy a top 10 finish of last year, but he doesn't really pose that much danger on the feet. Now, there are some issues with the grappling as well that I think Mike Davis can take advantage of. So I am going to be going with Mike Davis. I think these odds are good. Now, I do believe that if Ziam was plus 200 at one point, I definitely think there was value there. But now, man, I think this line is where it should be because Mike Davis has all the skills to be great. He's had so many injuries hold him back. He's got to come out here and get a win, man. He needs this win. I'm going to trust him to get it. I like his boxing, but I think the grappling is going to play dividends here. Obviously, Ziam, a lot of takedowns from Frevola, but Davis is a different beast, right? You have to worry about Davis on the feet. You cannot just say, oh, he's grappled a lot and he's a good grappler. He's a good grappler, but he's an even better striker in my opinion, right? And I think that Davis does a good job. He hasn't recently done a good job mixing up his striking and grappling, but I think he's got to do a good job with it here, and I think he does. I'm going to pick him to get this one done by a 29-28 decision. Next fight up. Kaan Ofli versus Muhammad Naimov. Now, I didn't know who Kaan Ofli was. He's an Ultimate Fighter guy, so no wonder I didn't know who he was. But when I look at his skill set, he ain't bad. He's not bad. He's a little bit undersized for the division. I think he's very small, actually. When you look at Naimov, he looks 10 times, not 10 times, but he does look much bigger. He's, small for the weight class. He just reminds me of a decent fighter. Not going to lie. I just think he's very decent. He's not great. He's not bad. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got good wrestling. He's got a lot of heart. He's pretty good in the pocket with the boxing. But overall, man, there's not much for me to say about this guy. I don't think that he is UFC level. I think, like I said, he's already small for the division. He got knocked the hell out by Marion Santos, and where he looked atrocious in that fight. But Santos is a good fighter. I'll give him credit. But, man, he looked terrible against him. He just looked so out of sort, cracked with big shots, and eventually got knocked out cold. And, you know, I just don't think he's that good. Now, Muhammad Naimov, I'm actually a fan of. I think he's actually really solid, right? He trains with Trevor Whitman in Denver, and he's got, you know, good ass striking. Honestly, I think he does have really solid striking. He's coming off a loss to Felipe Lima, where I thought he was ahead in that fight and on his way to winning that fight. And Felipe Lima's a beast, right? He's got a win over Nathaniel Wood. Why am I forgetting Nathaniel Wood? That's a really good win. Nathaniel Wood's a hell of a fighter. Muhammad Naimov beat him, right? So Muhammad Naimov's very capable. He's strong. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. I like his striking, though. I think the striking is going to play the biggest difference here. Because Kaan, to me, is going to want to get this fight to the ground or make it grindy, in the clinch, taking you down. But Naimov's dirty, man. He's dirty with the kicking. He's got nasty low kicks. He's got nasty kicks in general. But he's got big power and big, you know, hooks in the pocket. He knocked Jamie Malarkey out with one of those shots on short notice. Another pretty solid win, you know. So Muhammad Naimov is a guy who I trust, man. I trust Muhammad Naimov. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's better than Kaan in a lot of areas, man. I think Kaan's a guy who wants to grind on you, pause, and just like make you tired. And I don't think Naimov's going to be there. I think he gets the bigger moments in this fight, possibly gets a KO here, but I am going to lean on a decision for Muhammad Naimov. I think he dominates this fight. I like him to win this fight. I'm going to say KO. I'm going to say he gets a KO here. Next up. Oh boy, I've had a tough time with this fight. Very, very tough time. Said Nurmagomedov taking on Vinicius Oliveira. Guys, I don't know. It's such a close fight for me. It's a tough fight. Because when I look at Said, I don't think he's looked that good recently. And I don't think that highly of Said Nurmagomedov. But he's taking on Vinicius Oliveira, who I actually think highly of. And I'm picking Vinicius here, just so you know. But Said, when you look at him, nice spinning attacks on the feet. You know, he's very hard. He has good footwork. He's fast. He's very fast. You know, he whips up those head kicks fast, right? And Oliveira's a guy with his hands down. You know what I mean? But man, Said, I don't like his cardio. I really don't. And honestly, I was really leaning Vinicius early on into this. But I did go back and I watched Said, and he can wrestle. And that gives me a little bit of problems for Vinicius. And obviously, Said, if he gets one opportunity to get that neck, one opportunity, he will take it and he will finish the fight. And that's the hardest thing for me in this fight, because honestly, I'm not going to lie, Vinicius can push the pace, he can land a bunch of shots, he makes you uncomfortable, he hits like a damn truck, right? But the grappling side of things, Said, if he gets you for 1 second, he'll end the fight. I don't care who you are, right? You could be John Jones, all right, no, maybe not John Jones, but if he gets that neck, man, it's over. It's over, okay? And that's a big, you know, issue for me when I had to pick this fight, because I can see Said getting a single leg, getting Vinicius down momentarily, but then Said waiting for him to get up, and then Said pulling a guillotine, ending the fight, right? He's got that ability, and it's very, very nerve-wracking for me, but I am going to go with Vinicius, man. Man, I like him, man. You know, when you look at Vinicius, he's 21-3. He has 16. He has 16 KOs as a bantamweight, right? And he fought at UAE Warriors. He's fighting good competition. He fought some good fighters. A good fighter in the PFL he fought and got knocked out in that fight, but was winning that fight and dropped the dude bad. Vinicius hits like a truck. He's dangerous as hell. And he's huge. He's way bigger than Said. In terms of physicality, strength, he's bigger. Now, obviously, Vinicius has some, you know, issues in his own right? He's got, you know, a little bit of bad defense. Hands are down a lot. And that causes some issues for me personally, especially because Said is a guy who can flick up a head kick that fast. But I do trust in Vinicius, man. He's got durability, you know, and obviously, I mean, the dude got knocked out. He's been knocked out 3 or 4 times, 3 times, I think. But I've seen the shots he's taken from Ricky Simón, who doesn't just, you know, Ricky Simón doesn't just not hit hard. Ricky Simón, like, cracks. And so Pai, another great win that he has. I did hit Vinicius Oliveira decision against Ricky Simón, which was plus 800, so give me my credit there. But Vinicius, he's got solid takedown defense, right? And I don't see Saeed being able to hold him down for long periods of time because Saeed, was taking Jonathan Martinez down, but Martinez was up easily. Not easily, but he was up, right? And I just think that Vinicius on the feet, he can, push you, man. He just pushes you and makes you have to worry about his power, makes you uncomfortable. That's what it is. He makes you so uncomfortable. And then you make a mistake and he knocks you out, right? He's just dangerous as hell, man. He's dangerous. And I don't see that same danger in Saeed Nurmagomedov on the feet. That's why I think Vinicius is going to win this fight. Now, he might get a little home cooking on this one. A little home cooking. I'm hoping not, but I do think that Vinicius has a chance to get a finish here, man. He's always got a chance to get a finish. The guy is hella dangerous. Hella dangerous, right? And know his technique's not the best sometimes, but he doesn't give a shit, right? He's just going to walk you down, and he's got good volume and solid endurance for how hard he throws. I've seen his get-ups on his, getting taken down. He does a pretty good job, man. I'm going with Vinicius to win this fight via KO. Next up is Sergei Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Now, I'm a big Pavlovich fan. He's got to get this one done. I don't even know what other way am I supposed to put it. He's got to get it done. He's got to get it done. He's coming off 2 losses. Granted, Volkov's a great fighter. Tom Aspinall is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters. He's got to get a win here, and I think he can get one. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a solid striker. He's not bad. He moves his head pretty well for a big guy, but there are moments where the chin goes up and he's out of position. Definitely are. Now, an issue for Jairzinho Rozenstruik here is he doesn't really have that much finishing ability, right? You don't really see Jairzinho Rozenstruik swinging for the fences, and he's not going to do that here. And if he's backed up the whole fight, he's gonna get knocked out, right? He's got to be able to come forward. He can't be backed up on the fence because if he's backed up, Pavlovich will find him. He will find him. Now, something about Pavlovich is, man, you just look at him. He's a big dude, but this right here, 84-inch reach, okay? That is inhumane. You don't see anybody with an 84. It's crazy how long his reach is, okay? And he uses it well because he can extend that jab really, really long. He's got a good little shovel uppercut that he used to knock this one dude out. I can't remember, but it was nasty. And there's power in every single shot. And when he has you hurt, man, it's a good chance you aren't getting away, right? If he senses a finish, he's coming after, he's getting it. Right? You've seen him in every single fight. There's not a moment where somebody gets hurt and recovers. If they get hurt, Pavlovich is on him and he finishes the fight. He's aggressive as hell. He has good technique. He's faster in this fight. And ultimately, man, this is going to play dividends to me, right? Because I do think that Jairzinho can slip strikes well. He does do a good job at that. But I do just eventually see in a jab. I think a jab from Pavlovich breaks right through the guard of Rozenstruik and hits him and hurts him, and then Pavlovich goes and gets the finish, right? Pavlovich has got to get a win here. Backs up against the wall. He's motivated. He's hungry. Rozenstruik obviously coming off 2 wins. Not the best wins. Gaziev was able to tag him pretty hard. And Tuivasa, he looked pretty solid in. If you're going to play Rozenstruik, play him a decision. Because I don't think he gets a finish here, man. I just haven't seen, obviously he's got finishes early on in his career, but as of recent, man, he doesn't look like he hits hard and even wants to even get the KO, right? I got to go Pavlovich, though, man. He's got to get it done. He's got to get it done, and I think he will. I think this is a good matchup. I like the size difference and obviously the reach. I think the speed is also on Pavlovich's side, and he's motivated. He's hungry. He's a big old dude, and he hits hard. He's got to win this fight. I'm picking him to win via KO. The next fight up, Shara Magomedov, Michael Page, MVP. Man, I love this fight. It's so intriguing, such a fascinating fight. And that's something like Joe Rogan was such a fascinating fight. And it kind of is. It's very, very strange, right? Because honestly, I had a hard time picking the winner here. Because Shara Magomedov, 15-0. He's 4-0 in the UFC, somehow ranked. And I'd, pick him to lose to, the Iron Turtle, right? I'd pick both these guys to lose to the Iron Turtle. You know what I mean? Fuck it, Andre Petrosky, he would legit dominate Shara Magomedov. Anyways, Shara's fast. He's very, very fast, and that's something that I've seen with him, right? He is fast. He's had the speed advantage in every single fight. He doesn't have the speed advantage here. I don't care, man. I know people have said and claimed that they're faster than MVP. It's not I don't know if it's possible to be faster than him, man. He is so fucking fast. It's ridiculous, man. It's insane, right? And I had a hard time with this fight, obviously, because the stylistic, it's tough to call, right? Shara is a guy who can land the more volume, but MVP lands the bigger moments, right? And that's what every single MVP fight is. Because if you look at the stats, you're going to see Shara lands a lot more shots. But MVP lands the hard shots. He lands the drops, the finishes, and he's got a lot of power. He's got much, much more power than Nurmagomedov, for sure, okay? Now, it's a tough fight to call, man, because Shara, he's fast. He's got good striking. He has good, mixes it up well. The boxing's pretty good. I just don't know if I can pick against Michael Page if you're not grappling. And that's what I don't think happens. I don't think Nurmagomedov shoots a double leg and grapples MVP. And I think MVP might even be the better grappler. I don't think MVP would get taken down by Mikhail Zaitchuk. So I think that Nurmagomedov, he's the favorite here. MVP's the underdog. I like MVP to get it done. It's a tough, weird stylistic fight. There's definitely, if there's home cooking, it'll be right on this fight. You know what I mean? But MVP's 22-3, man. He's got, he's lost to Ian Gary. He's lost to Douglas Lima. Both those fighters are good fighters. And Storley, I think, as well. All those guys are solid fighters, man. And you've seen him go in front of Ian Gary, who is, I'm not going to say he's as fast as Shara, but he is fast. And MVP was way faster, right? Way faster. Man, it's hard for me to pick against MVP. I'm not going to. I just think he's too fast. I think he's going to land the bigger moments. I think he's got a, ability to finish this fight. I think he's going to finish Shara. I think he can. That overhand right is nasty. And if he times one of those leg kicks, man, because I saw Bruno Silva timing leg kicks. I think MVP's going to have a field day here, man. No, I don't want to say that. I don't think he's going to have a field day, but this is definitely easily the hardest fight of Nurmagomedov's career. Not even a doubt about it. I mean, unless it was, like I said, Andre Petrosky stepping in. But hardest striker he'll have to fight is MVP, and he's just so tough to figure out. And maybe a little live spot here if you like MVP. But I don't think, Shara's going to win the first round. You know what I mean? Because I think he's just going to be so bamboozled. But maybe you go Shara or live bet after the first. I don't know. Maybe. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. But I do think that overall, man, MVP's... He's just so fast, man. He's so fast. Nobody can catch him, and it's just, he's a tough guy to beat, man. He's a tough guy to beat unless you're obviously going to grapple him. And I don't think Shara's going to do that. So I got to go MVP to win this fight. I think he gets the bigger moments out of the fight. I don't think he outlands Shara, but the bigger moments come from MVP, and he gets this one done via a decision. Next up, the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. I really like Nasruddin Imavov's skill set. I'm a really big fan of the way he strikes. It's so crisp. His hands are fast. And this is definitely, I would say up until Whitaker is probably one of the faster guys that, Israel Adesanya's fought. I think that Imavov is fast as hell. His hands are quick. His boxing is good. His boxing is better than Adesanya's. It's crisper. And he is a guy who can grapple a little bit. I don't really know. I know people have been talking about this as a bit of a more, larger scale. People have been saying Nasruddin Imavov grapples a little bit more. He can win this fight. I don't think so. I think that would hurt him because I think that when he grapples, he tends to gas out. And the fight versus Brendan Allen was very bad. Very, very bad on both guys. But I don't hold that, against Imavov. I think he's a really, really good fighter. I think this is a very, very close fight. And I know there are going to be a lot of people thinking, minus 155, is he? Easy bet. I don't think so, man. I think Imavov's a tough guy. He's a tough fighter. His skill set's very, very good. And he can compete on the feet, man. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, the dude has more power than... I think he has got more power than Adesanya. I don't think that's crazy to say. I think when you look at the velocity on the shots... the speed on the shots, the speed on the boxing, it's going to be with Imavov. I think he is that good. Now, one thing about Nasruddin Imavov that I absolutely hate is how much he gets controlled in the clinch. And I don't even know if that's going to play a big part here, but for future reference, if you ever want to play Nasruddin Imavov, if he's fighting anybody who has any competency or even you just think about putting you in the clinch, like a guy like DDP maybe, don't bet on him. Or Marvin Vettori, don't bet on him because he's just going to get held there and he doesn't do anything to try to get out. It's very, very frustrating to watch. But damn, he's a good fighter, man. I'm not counting him out whatsoever. And I think this is a very, very close fight. I'd have to say it's a pick 'em, honestly, man. Because I think Imavov is so, so good, right? Beat Jared Cannonier, knocked him out. I thought he was about to be up 3-1 in that fight. I thought Cannonier won the first round. I thought Imavov won the next two rounds. He goes out there, last fight out, beats Brennan Allen, pretty good win, solid win. Lost to Strickland. Imavov's a good fighter. I think he's a tough fight for him. Israel Adesanya, although he is 1-3 in his last 4 fights, I thought he did look good against Dricus. And I don't know if it's just Dricus being hittable, because I am a Dricus fan. He is hittable, but it's just his will to come forward and just beat you. But Adesanya looked solid. He looked good in the octagon. He was ripping the body, and he did have a really, really good third round. I thought he was losing 2-0, and then he won the third, so it would have been 2-1 going into the 4th round. I thought he was doing well in that 4th round as well, early on into it. But he looked good in that fight. And one thing about Adesanya, I don't want to give him credit here because I don't think he's the better boxer. I don't think he's the faster guy, and I don't think he hits as hard as Imavov. I will say that very, very confidently. Very, very confidently. But another part here, 6'4", 80-inch reach. Adesanya does a really, really good job with his distance management. And that's something that I have to give a lot of credit to. He is a very, very good fighter when it comes to keeping his distance and landing shots. And his footwork's pretty good, moves back, gets out of the way of shots. He's very good at that. Now, he might make this fight a little bit boring because, he might just be picking Imavov off, picking him out or picking him apart from the outside. And that's what I do see ultimately in this fight. But I do see Imavov having big moments, man. I can't deny that I do think he's a very, very, very good fighter. But overall, man, I think Adesanya keeps him on the end of the jab, low kicks. I think it's a stinky, boring decision from Adesanya. I don't think he gets a finish. I think the way to go about this fight is Adesanya decision, and I do think that he gets it. I think it's a close fight, though, 48-47. I think that Adesanya struggles early on, steals the last couple rounds, 3-4-5, or maybe 2-4-5, something like that. But overall, man, I don't think that grappling plays a big part in this fight. I'm just going to go with Israel Adesanya via decision. Look, man, that's going to wrap it up for me. Hope y'all boys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.